going to hand it off to Sam. Sam, would you start by letting some folks know about your involvement with us and how you think this might help them?
Sure, will do. As part of my work doing training around the state with schools and districts, I ran into to both Chris and Doug, and we got into some discussion about what are some of the things that really take a lot of time at the local school and district level. And one of the things that came up time after time with districts was 31A. Oh my gosh, what a time consumer that puppy is. So basically, we talked about and identified that as an area where technology could be used to simplify and basically shorten the time that districts have to spend with 31A pieces. I broke it out into basically 3 pieces for them to look at. One is the identification of students. Second was compiling track and monitor interventions, so you know what was going on and what was happening. And then third was to get the data, have the data together so that you could do your annual performance report with less hassle, I guess is the best way to put it, a different time. But in addition to that, I think when you see the tool, you're going to see that it'll do all those things. It'll help you with all those things, but it'll also help you greatly simplify the completion of your program evaluations around 31A, because you're able to link interventions to student growth and performance. And that's really what those evaluations are all about. But I don't want to spend any more time. It's just, this looks like it's going to be a time saver for folks. And with that, Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thanks, Sam, and we really do appreciate your time. Denise Kish, my partner in crime at Eidex, is going to be on as well. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to shoot her the question. She'll answer, and then we'll take some time after a few minutes of the presentation to answer the questions and make sure we get you what you need for information. Our title is, "Oh my God, how do I track at-risk students?" We think with what's going on with COVID right here now, some people may have been given a task to do this data work, and it's the first time they've seen it. Others of you are experienced at this work, and we hope this helps as well, as Sam said, to save you some time and be more efficient and effective. Again, this is for people who have the responsibility of tracking at risk at either the district or the building level. And again, our software will help make that easier and more efficient in this process, we think. There's pictures of Denise and I on brighter, sunnier days. And if you need to, please don't hesitate to contact us.
Chris?
Yes.
Please make sure you turn on your, you start sharing. You haven't shared anything yet.
I haven't shared anything. What is up with that? I got to get to my taskbar here. 1 second. I thought I did that earlier, but you know how it goes with me and my tech ability here. There we go. Share. All right. Do you have it now?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise, for again bailing me out. Eidex is a Grand Rapids-based company, and we're here to take your data and help you visualize it. The Prism software in which this functions in works with your student information management system and with assessments and other data sets that you have. And we pull that all together to visualize your data. Prism only works with your data. You're not going to see others' data. That work is done with our focus tool. But we have the data at the district, building, classroom, teacher, and student level. We utilize the student UIC, the teacher PIC number, the building code and the district code to help manage all of this work. And we pull your classroom information, schedule information right out of your student information management system, which allows us to do this work and help you drill into, filter, dig into the data. The purpose of this application is, one, to keep track effectively of your at-risk students. Be more efficient with that because it already utilizes data fields that are populated in your student information management to help identify target groups of students. We also help provide information about at-risk students. We can amend and update this list accurately anytime. We can help you prepare for state reporting and help you monitor student progress, as Sam talked about. One of the questions that came up this morning when we did the presentation is, how much does this cost? There's no added cost with this, as with Eidex. We continue to find ways to help you as districts meet your data needs. And at this point, we haven't added to that expense for you, so it's free to you to use. But what you'll need to do is get your student information management system connected to Eidex. Most districts are doing that through the Michigan Data Hub, but we do have some districts that are connected to us outside of the Data Hub if that's a choice. The screen that I've shared with you right now is the home screen of our Prism tool. You'll see that listed here in the middle. And along the left-hand margin, you'll see that we do attendance, behavior, academics, calculators, and then under the Insight tab, you'll see where we have the section 31A. If you click on the 31A area, you're going to be able to get to data about the specific year, district, building, grade, student, their UIC, and then 6 of the 10 at-risk eligibility criteria, already loaded for you and ready to go when we have your SIS connected to us. Those areas that we would be able to pull already are economically disadvantaged, ELL, absent at least 10 days, immigrant in the last 3 years, did not complete high school for 4 years, and not proficient on MSTEP, ELA, math, science, or social studies. This data from MSTEP will update annually as your new MSTEP data comes in. It will update and automatically populate that field for your students. Same way as if a student hits a 10-day absence window, it'll update that as well. Or they change their free and reduced category. Partway through the year, parents lose their job and they can apply for free and reduced lunch. They then would qualify under the economically disadvantaged category. But all that continues to update for you without doing anything. There are 4 fields or areas of eligibility or criteria that are not generally in your student information management system. Those are fields that you're going to have to add, but by adding it here, it stays in one spot and it doesn't have to change or be updated unless you add new people. Those categories are victim of child abuse or neglect, pregnant teen or teen parent, family history of school failure, incarceration, or substance abuse. And the last one, at risk on a local assessment, like NWEA, STAR, iReady. That's the 4th area that could qualify a student to be at risk. That's different than MSTEP, but those are fields that you will have to enter, data that you'll have to enter. Somebody's been doing that somewhere. But we put it all in one place. And here's the example of when you log into that Prism piece that's 31A module. And again, I apologize, it's a little small. We'll get into more detail in a little bit, but it'll show your district name. It'll show you your building. It'll show you the student name. It'll show you their UIC, and then automatically come populated those 6 fields that are in yellow with yeses and no if they qualify in one of those areas. Then the other 4 areas you'll see are grayed out. They're not there. Those 4 of victim of child abuse, pregnant teen, family history, and at risk on a local assessment. That's data that you're going to have to upload. And To do that, what you're going to do is in our tool, in the upper right-hand corner of the sheet, there'll be a little down arrow that you click on, and that will allow you to export or download an Excel report that you'll be able to use. You'll pull that out, drop it onto your computer, and then you will go in and mark those students who have the characteristics in those 4 areas that we talked about. All you do is type in a yes, and you're good to go. Then what you'll end up doing, oh, I'm sorry, I slid that and I shouldn't have, got ahead of myself. There we are. Oh, missed it again. Then you'll, when finished, you'll upload that report back to us under the Secure Upload tab. And what that'll do is upload that information. You can upload and it will write over what you've put in there multiple times through the year with these 4 data sets. That may change primarily in the area of a local assessment qualification, but again, I think Sam would say that the 31A folks, the federal grants folks want you updating your list 2, 3, 4 times a year so that you stay accurate in regards to who those students are. So once you've uploaded information, this top part shows what it looks like when you go in initially. Once you've uploaded those other 4 fields, your document will now have these pink and green. Green being boxes, yes, they qualify for 31A. Pink being no, they don't. And again, that's the easy visualization that you'll be able to see from this. Excuse me. Anybody that would have access to 31A or to Prism would be able to see this information. So if there is somebody at central office that's putting this information in, a principal could log in and see that information. The superintendent, the curriculum director, somebody else would be able to see that as well. So that communication about kids would be very easy to do. How do I use that data? How does it become more effective for me? In Prism, we have student programs. And so coming out of your student information management system, these programs are there. So if I had a student that was physically disabled and I wanted to know how many kids met the criteria for 31A that were physically disabled, I could just click on that tab. Or kids that were homeless, I could do that tab. Free and reduced lunch, any of these other categories as well. Along with our major categories of by grade, you can sort by a cohort. If I have multiple elementary buildings, but I want to see all the second graders, I could pick that year. I could do it by ethnicity code, by gender. We've added this chronic absence tab. So how many of our kids with 0 to 4 absences fall into that category? Or intervention program that they've been using. Also, we can change our school year. So that's the key place of how the tool works and where it goes in a really quick nutshell. Denise, are there questions out there that we have that people want to ask before I go live in the tool and show them how it works?
There have been a couple of them. One of the questions was that the district has STAR data uploaded or being fed to Prism, and if there was a way to incorporate those automatically, those results. And really, we don't do that, but the reason is that the area is labeled proficiency on local assessments, and every district determines what proficiency means in their district. For one, it might be at grade level, another might be a certain reading lexile level. With NWEA, it might be that they want to be at a certain RIT level. And so those all are determined locally, and we don't make that assumption for what might or might not be proficient in your district. The other, another question is where do you find the upload tab? So when you go live in the tool, Chris, if you would point that out again, that would be helpful. It's a down arrow that's on the top right-hand area of the report on the green bar. Another question, she sees no EL students flagged, but they have over 40% EL students. So I'm thinking that might be English language learners. I'm not positive. And so where do we go about fixing that data issue? That's probably an issue within your student information management system, that either is not being
Coded.
in the system, or it's not being mapped to the data hub, one or the other. And so within the data hub, there is a script that can be run now to check for all those different program areas that might be helpful for you for that.
The other place would be to send a question at support@michigandatahub.org.
My
And-
data hub. Yep.
And let them know that that you have that question, and they would be able to help you as well. Great question.
Another question is, does the system upload data from DRA2? And we do not have DRA in our tool. However, on the 31A, when it says proficient on local assessment, you could use your DRA results and enter a yes if a student is not proficient. And so because on those local assessments, that's up to you as far as what you use and what proficiency is. You could be using DIBELS, DRA. There's all sorts of different performance assessments that you could use locally. So we don't have DRA in our tool, but you could enter the results as far as a yes on the chart.
Great.
That's all the questions right now, Chris.
Great. Are you seeing me live in Prism right now?
No.
Okay, I want to do that. I got to do that share. So 1 second again. Let me go back and do the share. Are we now?
No, we're still in the PowerPoint.
Well, that's not nice. So I hit the shared screen. Let's try this one.
There you
Are we
go.
there? There we go. All right. Sorry for that delay, folks. User error. This is our home screen where you land, and you can use this as a dashboard. I have on here chronic absenteeism, discipline incidents over time, and M-STEP performance level. But with the Eidex tool, you can look at attendance, behavior, academics, which would be all of your assessments, calculators, where we can calculate student growth percentile, conditional growth, adequate growth, student learning objectives. But if I go to the Insights tab, that's where that 31A report sits. I can click there. And again, I'm going to show you a couple pieces of how that works as we load. One of the questions was, where do I download the report? Can you see my cursor up here in the upper right-hand corner? There's that down arrow. If I click on the down arrow, the top button is my export to Excel. And that's where I'd hit that, and it'll pull the report right down to my computer where I can do the report. But again, as I said before, I could expand the size here. You'll see we're in the 21 school year. District name would be at this point. We're in a de-identified district right now. So you're not going to see names to protect the confidentiality of this district and students. This would be your building number, your grade level. The student name would be at this point, their student ID number, and then you see the categories. Remember I said you'd see those 6 categories with student information loaded in those categories. That would be in the yellow. And then the gray areas are where we see those categories where you will be adding data. So again, very easy to use and get to. Now we start to say, how can I change that data? How can I make it effective? An example would be I could change my school year by going to the 20 data and quickly go back and see what that 20 data looks like. I'm sorry, I spun too far there. And now if I look at my 31A data, it will have that 20 school year listed here. So you see I've switched to the 20 school year, and I have yeses and nos in the different categories. I could pick a grade level. I could pick 6th graders. select the sixth graders. And again, you're going to see the data change. And again, we're going to go to sixth graders. And now all I have are my sixth graders. I could pick something else and pick a ethnicity code. I could pick an attendance code. I could do male or female, or I could pick any one of these programs. And again, that's where Sam was talking about students that fall in different programs. We can even create subgroups of kids based on specific programs. But again, another option of that would be to go to the academic situation, because I want to see how my sixth graders are doing. I select M-STEP, and the only kids that are connected now are those sixth graders that are in that group coming from the spreadsheet from the 31A group. And as I look at those kids, I can start to change and look at the data as it relates to those students. You'll see I can look at performance level, performance indicator, student growth percentile. I can also look at who those individual students are. I think I'm seeing more than one district, so I'm going to go back and pick just District 1 in my data. I had all my districts selected. I didn't have just one district. And so now it's going to take me down and show me just those kids that are my kids. Each one of these dots represents a student. I can quickly turn that into a pivot table in which I can drag students to the front and see each one of my students and their score since 16 to 18, how many different times they've taken it. I can look at their student growth percentile. All of that, again, allowing me to be able to see different pieces. I can look at ELA, math, science, and social studies very quickly in each of those years. Again, mapping out the progress and success of those students. Again, with our academic tool, if you are an NWEA building, a STAR, iReady, we can look at PSAT, SAT as we get into middle school and high school. We can even look at those kids related to WIDA. All very easy, all very accessible for you to do. I'm in building 1. I can pick one of their buildings and again, narrow that by building. And I could get it to a specific teacher, a specific section of that teacher, or we could look at an individual student. All of that at the ease and at your fingertips to be able to look at. So that's how the product works and functions for you. Denise, are there any questions that have come up while I'm live in the tool that I could answer by showing a visual?
Chris, I misunderstood a question earlier. It wasn't the download button, it was the upload, which once they have downloaded the file and made any corrections and so on, they would actually go to Eidex Focus, the other tool that we have, and it's in the top right as far as
It'll be in this top.
upload.
It'll be in this top blue bar when you log in there to upload it.
Right. Another question says for all of their students, it says no under did not achieve proficiency on M-STEP. And any suggestions for why this might be?
One thing may be that they may want to switch years. It could have landed on 21 and they wouldn't have M-STEP data for 21. You've got to go back possibly to 19 to get that data so that it would populate there, because again, we didn't do that assessment last year.
So that might be something that we'll need to update on our end, because they wouldn't want to go back to the prior year for the student list. So that was a great question. And
yep, good catch.
Something that we'll check into on our end.
Other questions?
That was all that have been asked.
Again, this is the place over here where that local assessment data would go in and you would update it. One thing that we would recommend, you may want to save the Excel sheet after you updated it, because when you upload new information in these gray areas, these 4 areas, it's going to update them. And you may want to keep track of who the kids were in your first upload, who they were in your second or third. There may be some historical reasons that you're going to want to go back and look at that. And at this point, we're not saving those old records. So it's just going to be what your current data is. So that may be something you want to think about. Again, we have people on who are not clients. If you're interested, please let us know. We're more than happy to talk to you about this. We think it's a very cost-effective solution that you would be able to use some of your dollars to spend on this because you're using it to collect data on your students. We have some clients who are not Prism users. And just to point out to you folks, as part of the MDE's requirement in regards to sharing your assessment data, your formative assessment data, they're asking you to do that to the Data Hub. And to do that, you're also going to have your student information management system connected. And if that's the case, it's the same process for connecting to them as to connecting to us. And it's just a matter of sharing a secret and key with us. And we could be up and operational in no time when we make that process happen. There are data support specialists around the state of Michigan that can help with that process. And they're working with all of the major student management systems that are in the state of Michigan. With that, I'd like to hand it over to Doug.
Chris, before we do, a question for Sam. Just asking if he knows, because we didn't have the M-STEP last year, will it revert to the year before? Will they use that, or will that just be a non-column for this year's 31A report?
That question will have to go to the folks at MDE. Because the test wasn't given in every year like in science, usually you've been able to go back a year, but I think that's a question that needs to go to the Department of Ed in terms of where it's at now. They're moving to these interim assessments this year, so I'm assuming that they would probably prefer that you use your interim assessments that are being funded by the state if we don't have state assessment results.
Okay. And then another question that came up, could this report at the end of the year, if they download it, do you know if that could be used for the 31A report that the state is requiring?
It could have the information that you need. However, you have to link the student served with the finances spent on the various interventions. You really need to keep track of which interventions kids participate in. But this would give you the data that you need to look at that.
And what we would be able to do is help you create those subgroups of students. And then you'll keep those as files, either from this Excel document, and then you'll be able to link those kids right to it. All the information is right there. All right. Any other questions, Denise?
So one individual says when she selected met one or more risk factors, all of the no's showed up in the list rather than those with a yes.
Well, let's get her name. Let's get her name, Denise, and we'll do a check on what's going on there.
Right.
Awesome, thanks. And again, as you get in and you find issues, please don't hesitate to let Denise and I know. Again, these are databases and they have opportunities for hiccups. And so we're here to help and make that those corrections for you. Doug, any final comments?
No, thank you for, thanks everyone for attending. Thank you for putting up with my dog barking at the beginning of this. I had to jump out a couple times. She kept doing it. So, but I appreciate everybody taking their time. And as I said earlier, I know everybody's busy, and any suggestions you have for improvement, we're all ears. So thank you so much. And thank you, Sam. You're always really appreciated.
Also,
all right, everybody.
If you'd like a video copy of this to share with someone or the PowerPoint, please shoot Denise or I an email and we'd be happy to get that information to you.
Chris, one more question.
Sure.
Can I download a report to upload identified students into MSDS?
Oh, I'm going
So
to have to.
basically, I don't know what the MSDS protocol is myself. So I don't really know what, I mean, yes, you could download this document and upload it if that's, what you'd like to do, and if MSDS accepted this as a document. So.
All right. Great
Okay.
questions. Keep them coming.
I don't see any others now.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody. Bye now.